Hi everyone, Vincent here, and I just want to let you know that this is the last podcast I'm uploading in the usual way before Christmas 2024. However, I will be emailing a special Christmas Day podcast to people who are subscribed to my free email newsletter. If you want to subscribe to my free email newsletters and hence also be emailed the special Christmas Day podcast, then click the link in the top of today's description, which will take you to my first newsletter, scroll all of the way down to the bottom, and type your email address in to sign up. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing the only gift to give your ex at Christmas. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will likely be wondering if you should get them a present. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 points to consider regarding what gift to give your ex at Christmas. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is what not to get them. 1. So the first point of today's podcast is the first thing I suggest you don't get your ex at Christmas, and that is an expensive gift. Now this could be deemed as money game, and for those of you who are not aware, money game is where you are using your wealth to try and get an ex back, or to get anyone to be in a relationship with you. If you're having to flash your cash to get someone back, then this isn't authentic. Now you might be thinking, well, I'm not even a wealthy person. My ex knows I'm not a wealthy person. I'm just trying to put all of my remaining money into a gift to show how much I care. Well, even if you're not rich, even if you're not wealthy, if you're buying someone an expensive gift who is not currently your girlfriend or boyfriend, then this could certainly be seen as money game. A money game is not attractive. Not attractive in the way you want it to be. If you want to have a long-lasting, successful romantic relationship, you need your partner to be feeling a high level of romantic emotional attraction for you. And buying someone an expensive gift is not going to grow that romantic emotional attraction in their mindset. It might make them feel like you appeal to them in different ways, but not a way which is authentic or genuine, and not a way which is going to mean that they want to be with you until the end of time. This can also be seen as bargaining, as begging, and as persuading. And from the perspective of trying to get an ex back, these are things you certainly don't want to be seen as trying to do, because if you do this, you are not likely to reattract your ex, again, in the way that you want to, but also you are likely to be frustrating them. Even if your ex-dumper was to receive your gift and be amazed by how expensive it is, by what you have bought, by the thing that they're looking at and thinking, yeah, actually I could really do with this, they might enjoy that on one hand, but on the other hand, they're going to be thinking, this isn't what I want. I've ended a relationship and they're continuing to chase me. They keep begging and pleading. My dumpee doesn't understand. They're not listening. They're not understanding that I don't want to be with them. And if your ex-dumper doesn't feel heard by what they're trying to tell you, which is, I don't think this relationship is working, then unfortunately, they are not likely to regrow the necessary attraction for them to change their mind. So even though a flashy gift could potentially make a dumper, or anybody for that matter, think for a moment, this is nice. I could be living the life with my former partner if I was to get back with them. It's not going to be for the right reason. And if they were to reconnect with you on this basis, I would actually say that there is a higher likelihood that they might cheat on you. And the reason I say this is because they are not emotionally invested. They're not romantically, emotionally invested in you within the relationship. So they're going to be more susceptible to the potential wandering eye. It doesn't matter whether your ex is a man or a woman. This is exactly the same from all perspectives. If you are trying to buy someone, which ultimately this is what you're trying to do, you're trying to say, hey, be with me. I'm going to give you this expensive gift. Just imagine what things I might be giving you in the future. If you're trying to buy someone, they're not going to be with you for the right reason. It's the equivalent of saying to someone, look, I want to take your photo. Now I need you to smile. and they don't want to smile. You'll say, no, smile, smile, smile. You might get them to smile for the photograph, but are they really smiling inside? Unless somebody actually wants to smile, then they're only acting the role. Similarly, if you try and offer someone an expensive gift as a bargaining chip to get back in a relationship with you, this isn't real. It's not the romantic emotional attraction you need to try and get them back into a sustained relationship. And like I said, even if we were to put that to one side, this is definitely coming across as begging. You're begging, you're pleading, you're saying, I would do anything to get you back. Here is all of this money. Here's this expensive present. If you're behaving in this way, you're pushing your ex-dumper onto this pedestal, and you're saying that I'm not worthy of you, being who I am, I'm going to try and buy you. That is not genuine, that is not authentic, and that won't get your ex back in the way that you want to be with them. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you have the new hype feature, please hype this video as well. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is what not to get them number 2. So point number 2 in today's podcast is the second thing I suggest you don't get your ex-dumper for Christmas, and that is a sentimental gift. Now you might be thinking, well, surely this is a great idea. Giving my ex something which is inexpensive but sentimental might trigger something in their mindset for them to remember our relationship and want to be with me. And although the concept and the theory sound right, we have to remember that getting an ex back isn't a mathematical equation. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It is more a free-flowing art form. And that is because the power of which the sentimental gift is trying to use, you could say, is being lost because they don't feel enough romantic emotional attraction at the time you are giving the gift. Now you might think, well, yeah, that's why I'm trying to reignite it. But you have to understand, remember when I said in point number 1, your ex-dumper does not feel enough romantic emotional attraction for you right now. This is because they've ended a relationship. If they felt enough attraction, then they wouldn't have ended the relationship in the first place. The fact they ended the relationship shows they have a low level of attraction. And in point number 1, we were speaking about if you try and buy them, okay, with an expensive gift, this isn't going to get them back via grown romantic emotional attraction. And unless it hits the necessary high point, you can't expect a relationship to potentially last the test of time. So what we can see here is they have a low level of attraction. Now, this also means that anything you do right now is not likely to help you in the way that you might expect. If you were together in a relationship and you got your partner a sentimental gift, they would absolutely love it. It would be powerful, but that is because they're feeling a high level of attraction for you, not when they don't want to be with you right now. Remember, your ex-dumper does not believe that right now you and them work and connect in a way which is fulfilling and something which they deem is worthwhile in the future. That is why they ended the relationship. So from that perspective, if you are now trying to give them a sentimental gift, it's not going to be appealing. If anything, it's just going to feel awkward. They're going to be wondering why you're giving them a gift at all. They're going to be very, very confused by your behaviour. And although they might look at the gift and think, yeah, that is lovely. That does remind me of better times in the past. But I don't feel that way right now. And if anything, it's going to create an awkwardness. If you hand it to them face to face, they're probably going to look at you somewhat strange, somewhat cold, and almost look like they don't know what to say. They'll be lost for words. They want to say thank you, they want to say it looks nice, they want to say they understand what it makes them think, but because it hasn't come from them and their own mindset, they are instead feeling awkward and unsure of what to say. If you send it in the post, if you give it to them in a way where you're not face to face, and you are expecting a text message saying how much that they now love you and want to get back together, you are sadly likely to be shocked. More likely is that you will receive something which is very short and sweet, just saying thank you for the gift. Okay, and that's probably best case scenario. Worst case is you won't hear anything at all. And this is the paradox once more. Yes, it would technically pull on their heartstrings in reminding them of the past, but it's not coming from them. It's coming from you. It's looking forced. Anything which is forced does not work. If this could be done in a very subtle way, then there is more chance it could trigger a more natural thought process in their mind. But they know it's forced. They know it's a Christmas present, it's a Christmas gift. You are handing it to them. You are sending it to them. There is nothing subtle about it. You are trying to force the issue once more. And instead of trying to reconnect using money game, you're trying to persuade them to come back to you by trying to remind them of the past of when you two may have been good together. And although that can be a basis for them to think of you in a more positive light at that time, they're going to be thinking, well, yeah, that's when things were good. But right now they're not. I've dumped you for a reason. My level of romantic emotional attraction dropped over time, or potentially quite suddenly, depending on your specifics. And right now, I don't feel the way that I did back then. Again, if you can be subtle about bringing up sentimental memories in their mind, in which I do give hints and advice in other podcasts and via my audio coaching service, but this isn't subtle. This is very, very obvious of what you're trying to do, and it is very unlikely to work. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the build-up of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is the only gift to give your ex at Christmas. And this is the one that, of course, you've been waiting for. What is the only gift you should be giving your ex at Christmas? Now, although there are some caveats to the rule, some exceptions to the rule, depending on your specifics, I, of course, in today's podcast, have to be speaking in a generalized sense. Okay? If you want more specific advice, then my audio coaching service is much more likely to help you, because, of course, I don't know your specifics for every single person listening right now. But the generalized advice of the only gift to give your ex at Christmas is the gift of your absence. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And there is truth to this. You know, it's been a saying for a very long time. And this is because there is something in it. And that is that your absence is much more likely to create a situation where someone thinks about you. And whereas in the first 2 points of today's podcast, things have been very obvious, this is obviously a lot more subtle. In fact, it's not even something you're doing per se at all. You're taking yourself away from your dumper, but that is what they've asked. They ended a relationship they didn't want to be with you. All you have done is given them technically what they wanted, and you're now focusing on your own life. So you're not doing anything at all to come towards them. You're thinking of you. You're focusing on you. You're living your life for you, and this is what is likely to help you. If you give them the gift of your absence, they're much more likely to think of you in a positive light and potentially regrow romantic emotional attraction in comparison to an expensive gift or even a sentimental gift. Someone can only miss you if you are no longer in their life. You can't be missed if you're always there. They can't miss you if you are handing them a Christmas present. If you're saying, hey, Merry Christmas, here you go, they can't miss you, you're there. They're much more likely to miss you if you're not in their life, if you're focusing on you, if you're doing your own thing. This is what we want. We want them to regrow authentic romantic emotional attraction from them thinking about you, developing into missing you. This can only happen if you're not in their orbit. So don't be in their life regarding anything that they could be deeming as you trying to force that issue. Now, of course, some of you will have to see your ex for different reasons, and therefore you would have to implement something I refer to as limited contact rather than a full version of no contact. But again, this is something which will depend on your specifics, and in a generalized sense, I would say if you don't know what to do, then implement my version of a no contact rule as best as you can, because that will give you that best chance of them waking up on Christmas Day and starting to think about you. Christmas Day is one of those very powerful days on the calendar where people naturally think back to last Christmas and Christmas has gone by. It's a natural instinct. It's something that we do. And if you were in your ex's life last Christmas or Christmases before that, then this is where they will think of you. Even if you are not in their life right now, in fact, I would say in particular, if you are not in their life right now, that is what they're going to think back to. And hopefully that can start to trigger some positivity. Even if things weren't brilliant between you and your ex last Christmas, maybe you were still together at that point, but perhaps things weren't going too well, they will still likely see you in a more positive light than you might worry they might do because of something called the fading effect bias, which plays into your favour, where people will consider negative memories losing power, you could say, over time, much sooner than the positive memories, meaning negativity fades sooner than those positive memories which still shine through. So this can really help you, even if things weren't brilliant last Christmas. The fact you were together means that they're going to think of you and they're likely to remember things in a bit better way than perhaps they even really were. So for now, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. And like I said, if you want to listen to my special Christmas Day 2024 podcast, please subscribe to my free email newsletter by going into the description of today's podcast, clicking that first link, scrolling down through my first newsletter, which is what it would take you to, and type your email address in at the bottom to sign up. And then on Christmas Day this year, you will receive a bonus audio podcast within this email newsletter. Merry Christmas, everyone. Take care and stay positive.